I think you are totally crossing the line on all this. You guys are upset because number one, I scored the chief the lowest. I said I would be happy to sit down with the chief and go over some of my concerns. I would have done it every time had that been brought up. It never was. We would come to our board meeting, we would turn in our scores only, and that would be it. End of evaluation. So I don't know why all of a sudden this year you're making such a big political game out of this whole thing when it shouldn't be. Nor do I think you have the legal right to do it. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. You know, like I said, in my opinion, the chief did a satisfactory job. Just because I scored him differently than you, everybody has the right to their own opinions. And you guys are chastising me because I have a different opinion than you. So what you're saying is you want all yes men on this board. Oh yes, I'll do this. Oh yes, I'll do that. Oh yes, I'll score just as high as I can. Well, that's exactly what you're doing by questioning my low score.
Your job is to evaluate fairly, and if you can't defend your evaluation with any explanation, then you're not properly, we have no evidence that you are properly fulfilling your obligation to evaluate the chief.
If I may, there's a couple corrections to Ms. Slaughter's argument. Number one, the summary page that you did was not completed fully. The summary page on the sheet lists each individual category that you're supposed to transpose the numbers from the detail categories to.
Oh, I know that.
They were not done.
No, I know that.
And it was not completed. That is the completed summary page. You wrote number 34 and circled it on the bottom of that sheet.
That's right, and that's
With
way
no
it's been done every year.
indication whatsoever on any of the objectives. Number two, each objective in the detail, I personally respond to. That's in there. It's written. You're asking,
So
how do you know
how do you do it if
licenses?
you've not received them before?
You were saying to the board that you did not know whether or not there were certain items that were completed. In the goals and objectives sheets, 1 month prior to the evaluations being turned in, there's a category that says the goals. There's another category that I respond to. Yes, the licenses were all up to date for this year. Yes, we received a perfect audit with examples here. So each objective and goal is identified and explained whether it was met or not met by me. It's written in there. So again, you're questioning how you're supposed to know. I'm writing it in there. It was done. The goals were met, and here's why, and here's how.
Right, and I say I've got $1 million. You know, what I'm saying is that I think that in some ways that could be tweaked a little bit and made a little bit better.
The recent MSP issue involving the dumpster at Station 3 was very inappropriate by Ms. Slaughter to completely trump a police action that had been started and initiated by the chief. Not to mention Ms. Slaughter's recent activity or inactivity or inconsistency regarding the latest evaluation report that was filed last month. It is these things that have led the board into its current action with the authoring of this resolution.
The dumpster issue. How many times again do I have to say that our supervisor made that determination that he wanted to handle it internally between NOCFA and us? We're supposed to have a working relationship, which obviously it looks like we're working against each other. The supervisor wanted that to be handled internally. He is the one that told me to call, and by that, he'd only been here a week, 10 days, asked me to call MSP and say that we were contacting, or he was contacting NOCFA, and to please disregard that we would handle it with them, and if necessary, then somebody would come up with that $40. And that was the situation on that. And then, of course, we've already gone over my scoring. So just to clarify those other two matters.
You've been a board member for NOCFA for how long?
Same as you have,
How long?
since 2000, well, November 20th. No, I probably didn't come in till December of 2008, it would have been. So 3.5 years, 3 years,
3 years, 2 months?
3 years.
Okay, in your 3 years and 2 months as a board member, have you ever had to take an order from the supervisor at the time regarding your, anything involving the fire department?
Yeah,
How so?
well, I can't think of any instances for right now, but usually the supervisor was the liaison typically with the fire department. There would be different things that would be told to us by the supervisor, which we basically just went along with,
Okay.
or agreed to, or didn't have any reason to question it.
So
I had no reason to question
So
it.
2 weeks into the new supervisor's term, he gives you an order that you know to be a bit suspect.
Not
You're
an
stepping-
order, but I mean, he asked me to do it.
Okay, he asked you to do it,
Wasn't an order.
and you're a board member on NOCFA board, and it didn't occur to you that at some point you may want to dial the fire chief up and ask him what's going on?
No, because he said he had called the fire chief and that everything was fine. It was to his amazement, a week, 10 days later, to find out that this thing was raging on strong, that it hadn't been resolved. And Jeremy, you yourself know, you talked to him, he was quite angry with you that you had not worked with us to try to take care of that.
That's not a true statement.
That was an anger that you heard on the phone. I was sitting right in his office and I heard the way he talked to you.
You're talking about a whole nother matter. I spoke with
Not
Mr.
to get into he said,
Okay,
she said,
but anyways.
anything. Regardless, Ms. Slaughter, you did take a daily administrative duty out of the chief's hands, handle that yourself, not to mention it was a police matter, so that I individually cannot ignore.
But you also seem to forget, too, that dumpster, and nobody's talking about that. That dumpster's in Rose Township's park. It's not locked. I mean, it's not marked.
So if I owned a business and I had a dumpster out back, and just
That's
because it might
different.
be on somebody else's property, somebody else decides to
That's
fill it.
different. If you're talking about business, this is a public park that's available to our residents. And there that dumpster sits in that park, and somebody used it.
I've got my trash bill. Can I bring it? Can I hand it in? Would you guys start paying
Ms.
mine?
Valerio, please.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not condoning it, but I'm saying you've got a public
So if
park.
you're not condoning your action,
I said I'm
what
not
do you think?
condoning the people dumping, putting bags of trash in it, but I certainly can understand possibly why they might have done it. Because it's in a public park, it's not locked, it's not marked. I know that the fire department has marked it now, so I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, I'd like to say that, I said it before at the special meeting, and I'll say it again tonight, I don't think it's our authority as the Northland County Fire Authority to send a resolution to Rose Township demanding action. It's a bad idea, it's a slippery slope to go down. What all of these, I guess, things you brought up about Ms. Slaughter, a lot other than the evaluation, maybe a lot of them boil down to a lot of he said, she said that we really don't know about. So, like I said before, if you want to write a letter to Rose Township and tell them you don't like Ms. Slaughter and that you don't think that she properly represents their interests on this board, maybe that's fine, but I'm not going to go along with a resolution telling Rose Township what they need to do.